He said he came home and caught you kissing his dead mother.
And obviously that's not true.
It's a little true.
Hello there and welcome back to eFlix. Season 7 of 911 concluded with dramatic twists, jaw-dropping scenes, and a cliffhanger that will leave viewers talking all summer. Finishing a stellar first season in its new broadcast home on ABC, the first responder drama from showrunner Tim Minear picked up immediately after the heartbreaking fire at Bobby Nash's Peter Cross and Athena Grant's Angela Bassett home, with Bobby fighting for his life and Athena ready to exact revenge on those she believed were to blame. Meanwhile, Eddie Ryan Guzman dealt with the consequences of his affair with Kim Devon Kelly, a woman who appears identical to his late wife, after his girlfriend Marisol Eddie Ganem and son Christopher Gavin McHugh discovered them kissing. But there were also happy moments, such as Buck Oliver Stark and Tommy Lou Ferrigno Jr., wrapping up the season on a high note, and Chimney Kenneth Choi and Maddie Jennifer Love Hewitt assisting Hen Aisha Hines with her custody issues. After rescuing Athena from the fire in episode 9, Bobby collapsed outside his blazing home. The climax began with a doctor informing Athena that his heart had stopped for 14 minutes due to smoke inhalation, but paramedics were able to resuscitate him on the way to the hospital. The doctor told Athena that there would be no answers to Bobby's condition until he awoke, which remained a mystery. She also reminded Athena that Bobby had signed a directive stating that no extreme measures would be taken to keep him alive if his body was unable to recover, which meant he would be disconnected from machines if he did not wake up after a set length of time. As Bobby's status remained unknown, Athena feared that Amir Malcolm Jamal Warner was responsible for starting the fire in her and Bobby's home. Athena told an unconscious Bobby that she caused this catastrophe by inviting Amir into their home, hoping that their goodwill would help Amir forgive Bobby for his role in the Minnesota fire that killed both of their families many years before. Driven by her wrath over what had happened to her husband, Athena decided to take matters into her own hands and seek justice. She then left the hospital and returned home to retrieve her gun. After rushing into a neighbor and requesting to borrow her car, she contacted Maddie on the neighbor's phone, presumably to keep her actions out of police sight, and asked for Amir's address, claiming he was in danger. Athena then rushed to his house, while Maddie cautioned Chimney about Athena's odd behavior. Maddie, Chimney, and Hen then draw the connections regarding Amir's connection to Bobby and why Athena could distrust him. Athena questioned Amir at gunpoint about the fire, which he fiercely denied setting. The duo found common ground since they had both sought revenge and justice after a loved one had been wrongfully killed in the past. Amir convinced Athena that, like her, he would never resort to murder as a form of retaliation. Still skeptical of his intentions, Athena agreed to let him tell his version of the tale formally at the police station. However, as she was about to drive him to the precinct, she and Amir spotted a pickup pull up to his house. Amir identified the men in the truck as cartel members he and Bobby had encountered in episode 8, as well as the suspected perpetrators of Bobby's house fire. As Athena shouted for help, Amir decided to hand himself over to the soldiers in order to give her time to seek assistance and rescue him. As Amir confronted the grandfather of a coyote he had encountered with Bobby in episode 8, Athena tracked Amir's kidnappers to a warehouse and called the police for assistance. After confessing that he had worked with the U.S. government to cut a deal and leave the cartel, the guy admitted to going rogue and setting fire to Bobby's house in retaliation for his grandson's death. While Amir engaged the man, Athena remained out of sight, preparing to ignite a fire and distract the captors. Just as the man was ready to kill Amir, Athena revealed herself to them and sparked the fire. The males were apprehended while attempting to flee, and Athena assisted Amir in escaping unharmed. After obtaining justice for their tragedy, one of the officers on the site informed Athena that someone had been attempting to contact her. Viewers then watched as Athena hurried to the hospital and discovered the 118 firefighters encircling Bobby, who had woken up and was expected to recover completely. Athena eventually called her children to tell them what had happened, and the family reassembled to help them begin to rebuild their lives following the fire. After discovering Eddie and Kim together, Christopher secluded himself in his room and refused to interact with his father. Bucks went to see if his friend could speak with Christopher on his behalf, but a knock on the door interrupted his intentions. Eddie then learned that Christopher had called his grandparents in Texas and asked them to go to Los Angeles to help. Eddie was compelled to disclose his affair with Kim and how meeting the lady who resembled his late wife Shannon had turned his life upside down. His parents empathized, but they informed him that Christopher had asked them to accompany him back to Texas for a while. Eddie was apprehensive at first, but eventually agreed to let him take the space and move on from the shock. Christopher acknowledged to Buck that he was horrified to see Kim and thought she was his mother. Though Christopher was still upset and refused to look his father in the eye, Eddie informed him that he loved him and would go get him as soon as he was ready to return. Things appeared bad for Hen and Karen Tracy Toms after they lost custody of their foster daughter Mara after a dishonest local politician intervened in the adoption as punishment for Hen's failure to save her son during an emergency. In the end, Hen intended to reunite with Mara, but encountered difficulties in her efforts to bring her family back together. However, near the end of the show, the family arrives at Chimney and Maddie's for dinner, where the couple surprises them. They announced that they had been granted emergency placement for Mara, so she wouldn't have to be left at the group home, and that they would be her temporary guardians while the crew attempted to reintegrate her into Hen's family. After being released from the hospital, Bobby went to the remains of his home. Amir stopped by, and the two had a candid talk. Bobby still believed he didn't deserve all of the blessings he'd worked for since the Minnesota fire. But Amir showed him that, whether he earned it or not, Bobby struggled to rebuild his life and create the family he now has, both at home with Athena and with the 118 firemen. Though he may never forgive him for the fire that killed his love, Amir informed Bobby that he admired him for the way he rebuilt his life and pushed him to remain the station's fire captain and continue to establish his legacy. After a few days, the episode's concluding scenes find the 118 firefighters getting together, questioning why there is no acting captain named on the roster for the day's shift. For a brief moment, it appeared like Bobby's triumphal return to work after receiving the doctor's all-clear was intended to surprise the team. But then former 118 Captain Vincent Gerard Brian Thompson emerged and asked Bobby what he was doing at the station. He announced that he has returned as captain of the 118s, stepping out of retirement to fill the leadership hole left by Bobby's resignation before the incident at his home. Chimney and Hen, who recall being terrified at the station throughout Gerard's tenure, questioned Bobby about how he could have been unaware of what was going on. Gerard explained that Bobby's resignation had led to this situation before instructing the staff to line up for inspection in 10 minutes. How will the new leadership shape the 118's future? How is Bobby going to get his job back? See you this fall, 911 fans.